Peace begins where control ends. There's a war happening inside you right now, not with the world, not with others, with yourself and the weapon you're using, control. You wake up in the morning, and before your feet touch the floor, your mind is already racing. What needs to be done today? What could go wrong? What you should have said yesterday? What might happen tomorrow? You reach for your phone, not because you want to, but because you need to check, to know, to make sure everything is still within your grasp. You plan your day down to the minute. You rehearse conversations before they happen. You try to predict how people will react, what they'll think, whether they'll approve. You hold your breath when things don't go as planned. You tighten your jaw when someone disagrees. You lie awake at night replaying moments, wondering if you could have handled them differently, better, more perfectly. This is how most of us live, in a constant state of tension, gripping, managing, arranging, trying to bend reality to match the image in our heads. And we call this responsibility. We call it being prepared. We call it caring. But underneath all those names, there's a quiet desperation, a belief that if we just hold on tight enough, if we just think through every angle, if we just control every variable, then we'll finally be safe. Then we'll finally be okay. But here's what we don't see: the tighter we grip, the more brittle we become. Think about water. You can't hold water by squeezing it. The harder you close your fist, the faster it slips away. But if you open your palm, it rests there, calm, present, undisturbed. Control is like that fist. It feels like power, but it's actually a prison. And the bars, they're made of fear. We fear uncertainty, so we try to eliminate it. We fear rejection, so we craft perfect versions of ourselves. We fear loss, so we cling. We fear chaos, so we build walls and routines and expectations so rigid that life itself starts to feel like a threat. But life was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be lived. The river doesn't ask where it's going. The tree doesn't worry if its branches grow symmetrically. The bird doesn't rehearse its song before dawn. They exist in flow, in trust, in alignment with something far larger than their individual will. And yet, we thinking, conscious, self-aware beings have convinced ourselves that we know better, that we must orchestrate every detail, that our worth is measured by how well we manage the unmanageable. So let me ask you something. What if the very thing you're holding on to is the thing keeping you from peace? What if the exhaustion you feel isn't from the world being too hard, but from you trying to make it behave? What if the anxiety, the overwhelm, the constant mental noise, what if it's not a sign that you're failing, but a sign that you're fighting a battle you were never meant to win? Because here's the truth that no one tells you. You cannot control life. You never could. And you never will. You can't control what people think of you. You can't control how they love you, or if they leave. You can't control the economy, the weather, the traffic, the diagnosis, the outcome. You can't control the past, and you certainly can't control the future, because it doesn't exist yet. All you have is now, this breath, this moment. And even this moment doesn't belong to you. It's simply passing through. The mystics knew this. The Sufis spoke of surrender not as defeat, but as freedom. They called it tawakkul, a trust so deep that you stop wrestling with the universe and start dancing with it. Zen masters spoke of wu-wei, effortless action, not laziness, not passivity, but a kind of intelligence that flows with life instead of against it. Alan Watts said it beautifully. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. You are that muddy water, and every time you stir it with worry, with planning, with the need to fix and force and figure out, you make it cloudier. But when you stop, when you step back, when you let go of the need to manage, every ripple clarity returns on its own. This is not about giving up. It's about waking up. Waking up to the fact that your need for control is not protecting you, it's exhausting you. It's stealing your presence. It's keeping you from experiencing the very life you're trying so hard to perfect. So what does letting go actually look like? It starts small. It starts with noticing. Notice the next time you feel that tightness in your chest when things don't go as planned. Notice the urge to micromanage, to explain yourself, to defend, to fix. Just notice it. Don't judge it. Don't try to stop it. Just see it for what it is, fear dressed up as responsibility. And then take one breath. One conscious breath where you say to yourself, I don't have to control this. Maybe it's a conversation that didn't go well. You don't have to fix it right now. Maybe it's uncertainty about tomorrow. You don't have to solve it tonight. Maybe it's someone else's opinion of you. You don't have to change it. Let it be. Let it breathe. Let it unfold. Because peace doesn't come from having everything under control. Peace comes from realizing you never needed to control it in the first place. You are not the director of this life. You are the experiencer. And the moment you stop trying to write every scene, you'll finally be free to live in it, to feel it, to be moved by it. Peace begins where control ends. Not because you've given up, but because you've finally let life in. Your mind believes it needs answers. But what if the question itself is the problem? We are addicted to certainty. From the time we're children, we're trained to seek it. What's the answer? What's the right choice? What happens next? We're praised for knowing, for being sure, for having it figured out. And so we grow up believing that uncertainty is something to avoid, something dangerous, something weak. But look closely at what this does to you. You meet someone new, and immediately your mind starts calculating. Are they trustworthy? Will this relationship last? What do they really think of me? You can't just be with them. You need to know where it's going. You start a project, and before you've even begun, you're already worrying about the outcome. Will it succeed? Will people like it? What if it fails? You can't just create, you need guarantees. You feel a sensation in your body, and panic rises. What does this mean? Is something wrong? Should I be worried? You can't just feel, you need a diagnosis, an explanation, a label. This is the ego's favorite game. It convinces you that if you just gather enough information, analyze enough angles, prepare for enough scenarios, then you'll finally feel safe. But you never do. Because the ego doesn't want answers. It wants control. And as long as you keep feeding it questions, it stays in charge. Here's what the ego doesn't want you to realize. You don't need to know. Not everything. Not right now. Not even most things. In fact, the deepest peace you've ever felt didn't come from having all the answers. It came from moments when you stopped asking. When you stopped trying to figure it out. When you just were. Think about the last time you felt truly present. Maybe it was watching a sunset. Maybe it was laughing with someone you love. Maybe it was the quiet of early morning before the world woke up. In those moments, Were you thinking about tomorrow? Were you analyzing, planning, controlling? No. You were just there, fully, completely, and it felt like relief. That's because presence doesn't require certainty. It requires surrender. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering. But what we often miss is that attachment isn't just to things, it's to knowing, to being right, to having life make sense. We're so attached to understanding that we miss the experience itself. Rumi said, "Sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment." What a radical idea! That maybe the point isn't to figure it all out. Maybe the point is to be astonished, to be humbled, to live in the mystery without needing to solve it. Because life is not a puzzle, it's a symphony. And you can't hear the music if you're too busy reading the sheet music, analyzing the notes, predicting the next measure. So here's a practice, a gentle one. The next time your mind spirals into needing to know, stop. Place your hand on your heart. Feel it beating. That rhythm has been going since before you had a single thought. It doesn't need your permission. It doesn't need your understanding. It just is. And so are you. You don't need to know what's going to happen next month. You don't need to know if you're making the right decision. You don't need to know why someone acted the way they did, or what it all means, or how it will turn out. You just need to be here, now, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this moment that is already complete, already whole, already enough. When the question arises, what if? Meet it with softness. Say, I don't know. And that's okay. Say it until you feel the weight lift, until the tightness softens, until the mind stops reaching and starts resting. The ego wants certainty, but the soul craves presence. And presence doesn't come from knowing. It comes from trusting that you don't have to. Let the mystery be mysterious. Let the unknown be unknown. You are not lost. You are simply here. And here is where peace lies. You think you're working toward a goal. But what if the goal is working against you? We live in a world obsessed with results. Every action must lead somewhere. Every effort must produce. Every moment must be justified by what it achieves. You don't just exercise, you track progress. You don't just create, you measure engagement. You don't just spend time with people you wonder if it was worth it. You don't even rest without guilt, because rest doesn't produce anything visible. And so life becomes a transaction, a constant negotiation between input and output, between effort and reward, between who you are now and who you think you need to become. But here's what happens when you live this way. You stop being present in your own life. You're always leaning forward, always ahead of yourself, always focused on the finish line. The next milestone, the moment when you'll finally arrive, when the work will pay off, when people will see you, when you'll feel accomplished, complete, valid. But that moment never comes, because the moment you reach one goal, your mind creates another. One more thing. One more achievement. One more proof that you're enough. This is the tyranny of outcomes. It tells you that the present moment has no value unless it leads to something better. That you have no worth unless you're producing, improving, becoming. But what if the outcome was never the point? What if the purpose of your actions wasn't to arrive somewhere, but to be fully alive in the doing? Think about a child playing. They're not playing to achieve. Good play. They're not keeping score. They're not worried about whether their play will impress anyone or lead to future opportunities. They're simply playing, fully immersed, fully present, fully free. That's what we've lost, the ability to engage with life for its own sake. The artist who paints only for the gallery loses the joy of the brushstroke. The writer who writes only for publication loses the magic of the sentence. The person who loves only for the guarantee of being loved back loses the tenderness of love itself. When you make everything about the outcome, you turn life into labor. And labor without presence is suffering. The Bhagavad Gita speaks of karma yoga, the yoga of action, but not action for results. Action as devotion, as offering, as participation in existence itself. You act not because of what it will get you, but because action is your nature, your gift, your dance with the universe. And when you release your attachment to the outcome, something miraculous happens. You stop performing. You start living. So here's the shift. It's subtle but profound. Stop asking, what will this get me? Start asking, can I be fully here for this? When you're working, can you feel the work itself? The rhythm of it, the texture, the aliveness of your hands moving, your mind thinking, your energy flowing. When you're with someone, can you really see them? Not as a means to connection or validation, but as a human being here, now, sharing space with you. When you're creating, can you let it be messy, imperfect, unfinished, and still feel the joy of making something from nothing? Outcomes will come, or they won't, but your peace cannot depend on them, because outcomes are outside your control. Presence is not. You were not born to spend your entire life chasing finish lines. You were born to run, to breathe, to feel the wind on your face while your feet meet the earth. Let the outcome take care of itself. You just show up, fully, honestly, alive. That's the only goal that matters. What if the life you're searching for is already here, waiting for you to stop searching? We spend our entire lives reaching for more, for better, for different. We reach for success, for love, for meaning, for peace. And we believe deeply, unconsciously, that it's somewhere out there, just beyond this moment, just past this obstacle, just on the other side of this achievement, this relationship, this breakthrough. And so we keep moving faster, harder. We fill every silence with noise, every stillness with motion, every pause with productivity, because stopping feels dangerous. Stopping feels like giving up. Stopping feels like we might miss something. But the truth is the opposite. You're not missing something by being still. You're missing everything by refusing to be. Because the peace you're searching for isn't at the end of the road. It's not in the future version of yourself. It's not in the perfect circumstances or the resolved conflict or the achieved goal. It's here, right now, beneath all the noise, beneath all the striving, beneath all the fear and the planning and the needing to know. It's in the breath you just took, the stillness between heartbeats, the quiet awareness that's been watching this entire time, the awareness that doesn't need anything to be different, that isn't worried, that isn't trying, that simply is. This is what all the mystics have been pointing to. Not a state you achieve, not an experience you manufacture, but a return, a homecoming, a remembering of what was always true. You are not your thoughts. You are not your fears. You are not your plans or your past or your identity. You are the stillness that holds it all, the space in which everything arises and passes, the awareness that remains untouched, unchanging, at peace no matter what storms rage on the surface. The Sufis called it fana, the annihilation of the false self. Not destruction, but dissolution. Like a drop of water returning to the ocean, realizing it was never separate to begin with. Eckhart Tolle speaks of it as presence, the power of now, not as a concept, but as a lived reality. The recognition that there is only this moment. And in this moment, if you are not lost in thought, if you are not resisting, what is there is only peace. You don't have to create it. You don't have to earn it. You just have to stop disturbing it. So let's do that now. Just for a moment. Stop reading with your mind. Stop analyzing. Stop planning what you'll do after this. Just breathe. In. Out. Slowly. Fully. Feel your body. The weight of it. The temperature of the air on your skin. The hum of life moving through you without your permission. Listen. Not for meaning. Just listen. To the silence beneath the sound. To the space between your thoughts. This is it. This is the peace you've been searching for. Not somewhere else, not someday. Here, now, in the simplest, most ordinary moment, when you finally stop running and let yourself arrive. You don't need to change anything. You don't need to fix anything. You don't need to become anything. You just need to be here. Fully, softly, openly. And when you do, you'll realize something. You were never broken. You were never lacking. You were never lost. You were just looking in the wrong direction. Peace begins where control ends. Not because you've surrendered to defeat, but because you've surrendered to life itself. You've stopped fighting the river and started floating. Stopped gripping the moment and started feeling it. Stopped demanding that life obey you and started trusting that it's holding you. And in that surrender, you find what you were always searching for. Not out there, not tomorrow, but here, in the stillness, in the breath, in the quiet knowing that you are already whole. Let go, not of your dreams, not of your care, but of the belief that you must carry the weight of it all alone. The universe is breathing you. Life is living you. You are not separate from it. You are not controlling it. You are it. And the moment you realize that everything changes, not because the world becomes different, but because you stop needing it to be. Peace was always here. You just had to stop searching long enough to feel it. So take one more breath. Feel the ground beneath you, the sky above you, the life moving through you. You are here. You are whole. You are free. And that has always been enough.